Hey there, welcome to Maryland. Here we are today behind the scenes, trying to take you on our adventures a little bit more in a new series we're calling Fieldnotes, where we take you on our adventures and show you not only what we bring, how we use it, but a little bit behind the scenes into our philosophies of how we shoot.
We took you on the R5 Mark II review to Rocky Mountain National Park, and more recently we took a backpacking kind of what we pack, how we shoot outdoor sports in the backcountry, and now we're taking you sailing.
And today we're going to share a little bit of our photography philosophy from the perspective of how learning to sail is like learning photography. We'll also, of course, share what gear we brought and how we packed it. And both of these backpacks you see here will be in upcoming reviews. So be sure you're subscribed so that you're ready for those when they drop.
And down in the description, you'll find links to all the equipment we talk about and mention, as well as link to our shop where you can go pick up our new travel photography guide. It's kind of like an ebook all packed in to a ton of knowledge that we've accumulated over the last decade plus as professional photographers, and we think it's a really great value.
We're Mark and Brenda Bergreen. Here at the Bergreens, we like to help thoughtful photographers learn, create, and elevate. So let's go on an adventure. So the boat seems like the perfect place to talk about how learning photography and learning to sail are basically the same thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of metaphors that really align the two in terms of learning, challenges, getting better over time.
One of our biggest philosophies that has been a big part of our business from the beginning is simple is best.
That's right.
And how that applies here is that when you're learning how to sail, there is a lot of things to learn. And if you try to learn it all on day one, it's overwhelming, it's confusing, it's
just not realistic.
It's just not realistic. And it's the same thing with photography. If you try to be perfect at composition and light and capturing moments, as well as your post-production skills, all on day one, that expectation is impossible.
Yeah, you're never gonna get anywhere if you focus on everything, learning all at the same time.
And so usually when we come out on the boat, each person tries to learn one new thing and practice one new skill.
Yeah.
And so learning one thing at a time allows you to focus on that, understand why the wind works the way it does, or which ropes do what.
Or like yesterday, mastering getting into the slip.
I backed the boat into the slip for my first time by myself.
Which is no small feat when your boat is 40 feet and there's wind and there's current and it's a challenge.
And I say it by myself, but it really is like a team sport. And for us, photography is the same way. Maybe not everybody has somebody to shoot with, but learning from each other and helping each other on our strengths and our weaknesses is really important too. And so having somebody who is better at things that I'm weak at, or having things that I'm stronger at and am able to teach you.
Yeah, or someone to challenge you and someone to rely on to push you a little bit when you're maybe not interested in challenging yourself.
Yeah. Okay, so when learning photography, remember that simple is best, and don't try to tackle every new lighting technique on day one. Pick one thing and master that, and then move on to the next.
Yeah.
The next thing that comes to mind for me when it comes to sailing is the importance of the wind. We can't sail without wind. And so what's the equivalent wind in photography?
Yeah, so I would equate wind to light. You can't control it, but you can use it to your advantage. The light is obviously something you just have to go out and find. And when it's great, it's awesome. But when it's hard, it's not as much fun.
Yeah, and the first time that I went sailing, I didn't really understand how important the various aspects of the wind were. So the direction that it's coming from and how that indicates which direction I sail in, or how strong the wind is and how important that is if you want to get anywhere that you're going. And it's the same with light and photography, because the direction of the light often indicates which direction you shoot. Are you going to shoot backlit? Are you going to shoot front lit? Are you going for the side light?
Yeah, you can sail upwind or downwind, and it's the same thing with light. You can shoot directly at the sun, or you can use the sun as your primary key light.
Well, and normally we're in the mountains where, you know, if we want to capture alpenglow, that might be sunrise on one mountain and that might be sunset on another mountain. So the time of day really matters. And it's the same with sailing. Like, what time are we going to sail today? Well, let's see when the wind is best.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to photography, it's important for you to learn how to see light, as it's important to learn how to see wind. And the good news is that light is actually easier to see than wind. To see wind, we have to look for which way the flags are flying and that sort of thing. But to see light, you just have to start to notice it. Start to notice what color it is, what angle it's coming in at, how intense it is.
Yeah, it's all around you all the time. And when you start paying attention, you start seeing it and recognizing it and appreciating what kind of light you might like to create photographs in and what kind of light is difficult for you. And you can really hone your skills.
Well, and then you even start talking about it differently. So we start saying things like, oh man, the light is so soft today, or ugh, this light is so hard. And not hard and difficult, but hard in the intensity of it and how extreme it is. And when you start to talk like that, then you are starting to talk like a photographer. And there's a lot of jargon that comes with sports hobbies like photography or like sailing, right? So I think that's the next thing is in both sailing and in photography, there's a lot of jargon, there's a lot of gear, there's a lot of like new things that you have to kind of learn the language.
Yeah, there's a whole language associated with photography and there's a whole language associated with sailing. And when you're uninitiated and unfamiliar, it can be overwhelming. So just getting a feel for things as you go and learning back to simple is best, just learning one thing at a time and gathering that knowledge slowly will make you proficient at communicating in that language.
Well, it reminds me of two things. It reminds me of back in engineering school, there was a whole language to engineering as well. Whereas now if we pull an engineering notebook out from somewhere hidden on the bookshelf, you open it up and it's like a different language that we don't speak anymore because
it's full of math problems written in letters that I don't understand anymore.
I could probably send it to some of my college friends and be like, hey, translate this for me. And they still make jokes in that language, but all of our jokes are now in different languages.
Sports or photography related.
And then the other thing is out here visiting family. Our daughter is doing sailing camp and she's only 8 years old. So they sail little boats and they're getting initiated into the whole thing. And the other day she came home and she started telling us about her day and about how, oh, when we were running with the wind and then we had to zigzag on the way back. And she was speaking sailing language after only day 2 of being out on the boat and hearing other people speak the language and getting that exposure and that experience, which kind of brings us to the next way that sailing and photography are like. The best way to get better is to do it.
Yeah, you got to spend time on the water and spend time behind the camera to learn either of these things.
The more exposure, the more practice you have, the more natural seeing light is going to become. You can study about light all day, but getting out there and shooting light, that's going to make the difference.
Yeah, getting those repetitions of frame after frame is really going to make you understand not only how you see light, but also how the camera sees light and how you can create those images that really stand out as different than your average snapshot.
Well, when I was backing the boat into the slip yesterday, you learn things that can go wrong and you learn like what's hard about it and what is the current doing and what is the wind doing. And it's one thing to understand conceptually how to park a boat, but only until you do it once or twice and then 10 or 15 more times after that do you learn all the things that can go wrong and all the things that you can learn from it.
Yeah. So if you want to get better at photography, spend time behind the camera. Take your camera with you everywhere you go. Try to make pictures in good light, in bad light, in soft light, in hard light, and all the different types of scenarios that you might encounter. And you'll continue to grow your skills and really develop an ability to capture things the way you see them.
So as I mentioned, we're here on vacation, visiting some family. Our daughter's going to sailing camp. We're doing some sailing of our own, which is a new hobby and passion of ours over the past few years. But in order to get here, we had to pack for multiple activities. And we love the flexibility and the freedom of being self-employed because it allows us to bring work up with us wherever we go. We don't have anyone telling us when we have to be back at the office. Instead, we kind of have to bring our office with us. So let's talk about the gear we brought and how we used it. But in order to do that, let's get off the boat just so nobody drops a lens in the water.
Sounds good.
Okay, so 2 weeks in Maryland. How do you decide what to pack?
Yeah, we brought 2 backpacks mainly because we're doing a review of that one and this one from Peak Design and Shimoda. And then I wanted to have gear so that we could film and photograph our sailing trip and do some YouTube content as well.
What I love about both of these bags and really all the bags we use is they fit our camera gear, but also gear for adventures and things like our computer, so that we can bring our computers and keep working on vacation.
This bag in particular doesn't have a ton of space, but it does have a nice computer sleeve, which is easy for the airport. And yeah, you want to just show what we brought?
So in this bag, there's room for satchel up top, which is great to have different size bags for, you know, if we're going out today and we don't need the whole bag, we can just grab this with whatever we want in it. Brought the 70 to 200.
Yep.
Great lens to have, especially when we're on a boat and we might be shooting across to capture another boat. We're going to race tonight, so sometimes we like to take pictures of the boats that we're racing with.
Yeah.
Even though we should be focusing on winning. Card wallet, some lens cloths, batteries, of course, filters, our DJI microphone so that we can film, and
ND filters.
ND filters. I'm like, more filters. Yeah, and that's really all that fits in this bag.
Yeah, so that's this medium camera cube from Peak Design inside of their 18-liter outdoor backpack.
And the laptop was in there, if I didn't already mention that.
Yeah, and then on the side pockets, on the sides there, you have the travel tripod that we bring, as well as a water bottle, I believe. And that's great for, it's really handy. The little 4-liter sling is great for going through the airport, because you can put it up front and just have all your accessories, whether it's your wallet, phone, passport, anything you need, just readily accessible, but also in front of you, so that when you're traveling, you don't feel like anybody can reach in and grab your stuff.
Yet in addition to the 70 to 200, we have the 16 to 35, which is one of our favorite lenses. We bring it on almost every trip. And if you watched our last Fieldnotes video when we were backpacking, we didn't have it. So this is our new, not repaired because we had to buy a new one. It was unrepairable, our other 16 to 35. So we're back with the 16 to 35, which is really nice to have, especially in tight environments.
Yeah, like a sailboat is really compact. There's not a lot of space to move around. And so having a really wide lens is helpful. And we're filming on the A7S III right now.
And so those two lenses, as well as we brought a new 85, or a new to us 85.
Yeah. So in my bag here, I'll show you what I got. This is the Shimoda Side Country. So the camera gear compartment is on the side here, and it has this integrated top loader, which I will show when I do a full review of this bag. But basically, it's a little camera pouch that comes out. And I've been taking that mostly on the boat with just a camera and a lens, which is a great option. But this is the new 85 f1.4 from Viltrox. So we're doing a review of this, so make sure you're subscribed so you see that when it comes out. And then our other camera, the A7 IV, and either 35 or 16 to 35 has been living in this compartment here. In addition, I brought up top here, I have in this roll top compartment, I brought the drone, so that's the DJI Mavic 3 Pro. So inside of this low pro camera cube, I have the controller, 4 batteries, the charger, extra propellers, and the drone itself right in here, as well as some filters. So that's all packed up neatly in this little package, which is a little tight, but not bad. And then I also have a little GoPro kit, which is fun for capturing like a time lapse that I have in mind for sailing on the boat, and just a few mounting accessories, batteries, etc. in this little cube. So we'll use that kind of as a third angle, or just for like a set it and forget it. I don't have to worry about it. It clips on the boat with a mount, and I can film without worrying about the camera getting wet or any other concern. So that's inside the main compartment here. And then I think the laptop is not in here, but that's pretty much it for what's in this bag. Yeah.
We tried to split the difference between packing light and packing for everything we needed. We didn't have to pack quite as light as when we were backpacking because we didn't have to carry it and hike it in for miles along with our sleeping bags and food.
Yeah.
And we probably brought maybe only one more lens than we would have if we wouldn't have been reviewing that 85 and trying to learn that lens, because the 85 kind of covers the same focal length as the 70 to 200. And I probably would have chosen the 70 to 200 so we have that extra zoom range. But the 85 is really fun to shoot with. I love that, you know, soft bokeh that you get.
Yeah, it's great for portraits and just having fun. I also may or may not, sometimes I bring the drone, sometimes I don't. We're in Maryland and the airspace is quite restricted. There's a lot of things happening in the sky being so close to DC, and so there's very limited areas where you can actually fly legally. So it's kind of hit or miss whether or not we'll get to use the drone.
And as far as bringing both the 35 and the 16 to 35, it covers the same focal range, but we really like the 35 just for a carrying around travel lens. It's small and unobstructive, and so something like walking around the airport is nice to have that. And we're also a little sensitive after dropping to 16 to 35. Had we not had a backup lens when that happened, we wouldn't have had a wide lens. So if anything happens to gear, it's nice to have backup gear.
So the only lens that didn't make the cut for this trip was the 24 to 70, and I like to film on that lens because it's easy and fast to get a variety of angles, but I didn't bring it because we had already a pretty full kit and didn't want to bring too much camera gear. It's really important to utilize what you have and not bring everything with you, because if you suddenly have every lens in your kit, it can be overwhelming. Like, there's just too many choices. So having few constraints that you have to work around can actually help support your creativity. And if you're lugging around way too much stuff, it gets a little silly, and you're not practically going to be able to use all those.
We also didn't bring the 50, which is another great walking around lens, you know, if you wanted that instead of the 35. Since we're in tight environments on a boat, I think that's why we went with the 35 over the 50. But that's also a fun lens to have around. But like Mark said, we can't have all the lenses all the time. And sometimes even having the constraints of fewer lenses is better for your creativity because it forces you to work within those constraints.
Yeah, so if you're ever wondering, should I bring this? Think about how you are actually going to use it and whether or not it's going to hinder your ability to make photos, because sometimes constraints are going to force you to make more interesting photographs.
Sometimes after a trip, we'll go back and we'll go through the photos and see, like, what did we actually end up shooting on? What did we actually end up using? And sometimes that's a good indicator too. And I think that's why we always bring the 16 to 35, because whenever we go back and we go through Lightroom and go through those photos, a lot of our favorite shots are shot on the 16 to 35, and we tend to really use it a lot.
But then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy if we always bring it.
This is true. And when you want focal length variety in your portfolio, then you have to force yourself to be like, hey, all my portfolio shots are 16 to 35. I need to shoot some 50, some 85, and really utilize and learn how to use those lenses as well. Which brings us back to what we were talking about earlier on the boat with using and learning one new skill at a time. You know, you might be just starting out and you're shooting just the 16 to 35 for everything. That's great. Just stick with that and really master that focal length, and then move on and try mastering another focal length. We have a lot of how-to videos on how to shoot with different focal lengths, and I really love exploring the differences between those lenses and what makes one more interesting in any given moment than the other. There's probably a lot of debate to be said about that, but you can check out our how-to series for some of those how to shoot with different focal length videos.
Yeah, we'll link to all the gear that we brought down in the description. And if you have any comments on what we brought or what you think we should try out or review in the future, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment down below.
That's all for this Fieldnotes video. Thanks so much for joining us on this adventure.
Don't forget to subscribe and let us know where you want us to go next. Next up, I suggest you check out this video on us on a backpacking trip and what we brought. I'll see you over there.